Hello, welcome to the Neoscore tutorial on time signatures. We'll look through the time signature documentation on neoscore.org. We'll also have a walk through the example that is being presented on the Neoscore GitHub repository, and then we'll have a look at the API of time signatures. So first things first, the things that we need to understand is time signatures can only be attached to staves using the 0 placement for proper fringe layout. Meters can be defined in different ways, and we'll have a look at those either by calling them cut common, cut time, or some other arbitrary meter, or we can actually assign it, kind of 3/16 or compound one like this. We'll have a look in more detail at these. But the most important thing to understand, and really the thing that's at the very core of what makes Neoscore such a special library to be working with, is time signatures are purely cosmetic. Neoscore doesn't care, we don't care if you define a bar as 4/4 and then put 1,000 crotchets or quarter notes in it. Whatever you want to do is absolutely fine. However your creative idea wishes to be realized in graphical notation like this, absolutely fine. In fact, you could define a bar as 4/4 and just have some triangular blocks in there, fine. Neoscore is not going to complain, but at the same time it's also not going to order triplets for you according to beat unit distributions. So you just have to be mindful of that you're going to need some kind of graphical comprehension in order to work out, roughly where you want the beats to be aligned. To be honest with you, if you want to do that kind of normal, ordinary stuff, then maybe Neoscore is not the best place to do that. Neoscore is an open, creative, fun place to break some rules. But if you wish to do a combination of them, absolutely fine. We're totally supportive of that. So let's dive into the code and have a look at this first example here. Okay, so in PyCharm, the first thing we need to do is to, from neoscore.core, we need to import Neoscore. Oh, this ain't gonna work. We also need to get, let's go and get this information so we can see on the screen what it is that we need, and we'll just paste it here. So there is a staff and there is a time signature. So we need staff, we need points, and we need units. So from neoscore.core.units, let's get millimeters. And also from neoscore.core.points, point positions on the page or on the screen or in 2 dimensions, we're going to get origin, which we know is the top left-hand corner, the 0, 0 of anything that we ascribe. Then we need, and zeros in there as well, look at that, 0. That's comma 0. Okay. Now then from the Western, so from Neoscore the Western wing of Neoscore, we need to go and get the Western conventions of a staff. Obviously, if we're working with time signatures, we need to stick it on something. And we need to go and get the object staff. And we also need time signature. Neoscore, it's a Western convention dot time signature. We need to import time signature. Okay, so then the first thing we need to do is set Neoscore up. Neoscore.setup. Or else nothing's going to happen. And then we've got, I'm going to rename these, my staff is a staff positioned at the origin. Positioned at the origin, so top left-hand corner of whatever is its parent. As its parent is none, it's going to be the document itself. So it's going to go in top left-hand corner. And this staff, my staff, is going to be 100 millimeters long. The time signature, we're not calling it anything at the moment, but let's call it my time sig. Call it anything you want, as long as it's clear, that would be helpful. Is a time signature, so we're instantiating the object. As it's an object, we need to populate it with properties. 0, so that's its x coordinate, is going to be, so if I hover over that, we should fetch the documentation. You can't see that, but we've got the x coordinate, which is just a single unit, so not an x or a y, just position x, so it's 0, so it's far left. We also need to give it a staff. At the moment there is nothing called my staff, so we'll say it's my staff, so it's going to be populated into my staff that I've set up here. And the time signature is going to be 4/4. That's not going to work until we show neoscore.show. And let's play that. So let's run that script and go over to here, and we should see it. There you go. Okay, as expected, where's it gone? 100mm staff originating in the top left-hand corner of the page, a little way out of the margins for some reason, and with 4/4 clearly labeled there. Okay. Let's do some interesting things with this before we move on to the next one. Okay, so let's go back to the code. Let's see what happens if we make, remember in my staff, or if you haven't been, go and visit the staff tutorial. We can put line count. We can make that whatever we want it to be. At the moment it's preset to 5, but if we preset it to 3, let's see what happens. Okay, let's go back over to here, press run that script. So we now have 3 lines, and it has positioned the midpoint, by the looks of it, in the middle of there. If we went down to 2, or if we went into 18, let's go with 18 then. Who said that? It was you over there. That was me, yeah. Right, let's go to 18. Let's see what happens there then. Well, it hasn't not liked it. We've got 18 staff lines. Look at that, with 4/4 plonked in the middle. Okay, so that's its internal logic. It finds the middle of where you are, and then it kind of puts the 4/4 either side. All right, what about color changes? All right, let's make some pens. Okay, so pen is a core concept. So from neoscore.core.pen, let's import a pen. Let's make 2 pens. So staff pen equals pen, and we'll just give that a color. Let's have a look. So it wants a color, which is going to be a tuple or a string, and we want that to be in hex. Hash ff0000 I know is red. So if we were to put this into here, that pen equals, so this is one of the optional properties in my staff. You can have a look at that in the video. Pen equals staff pen. Okay, and let's make a sig pen. And we'll make it a different color. It's a pen, so it's an object. It's going to be different to that one there because it's instantiating a new version of itself. And we'll put hash ff00 f344. Let's see what happens. I don't know what color that is. It's probably a pink, maybe. RGB, a bit of blue in there. It might be heading towards purple. We don't know. So I know that my time signature doesn't have an option to call a pen. Because it's made up of 2 separate glyphs, an upper and a lower glyph, we can assign a pen to each of those. So by expanding out our time signature using some of the functions and properties, which we'll look at in a minute, let's just have a little play with this. So if we've got my time sig dot upper text, and we got pen, so we are saying that in my time signature, which is a time signature, we can change the upper portion, the 4 in this example, with the pen color, which will draw an outline of the pen, and we're going to call it sig pen. Okay, we can also do that with the bottom bit as well. So my time sig dot lower text dot pen, the pen of that, is going to be sig pen. Okay, so let's run that script and have a look at that. Okay, so there you go. So we got red and some kind of pinky outline, And I'm sure if we put brush, we could fill the inner portion of that as well. Okay, let's have a look at these here, what is going on here. Okay, so let's copy that. Let's go back to our script, our code. Let's get rid of that lot. And we are missing some things here. So what it's going to do is we're going to, from top to bottom, we're going to set it up. We're going to create a staff that is positioned at the origin, so the top left-hand corner of the document, the main master document, and it's going to be 100 millimeters long. Then we're going to put 4 time signatures at specific X positions, 0, far left, 20 millimeters, 50 millimeters, 70 millimeters, all on this staff here. This first one then is the meter. This one is going to be 3/16. This one is going to be compound. It's going to be 3 plus 3 plus 2 over 8. This one's going to be common time. And this one we're going to make up out of, well, some accidental sharps and flats. Now there's some red lines here, which means we need to go and get them. So we need to go and get those modules and those methods. So from neoscore.western, and it's part of the meter family, import meter and import common time. If we just for the minute have a look, if I was to hold down Control or Command, it's going to highlight blue and underline. If I was to click on that, it will take us to the meter code. So here we have, these are all the glyph names. Here we have the class meter, and we'll have a look at that in the API. But we've also created 2 standard shortcuts, text-based shortcuts, instead of writing them in. This one's common time and this one's cut common time. So that will produce a C, or the C with the cut through it. You could add more into here if you wanted to. We've just got the basic standard ones. And then this one is going to create a meter out of these 2 smuffle codes, and you can put in whatever you want into there. So let's press play and have a look at what happens over here. So now you can see that we've got the 3/16, which is far left, as we defined it as 0, and then we've got the compound one, 3 plus 3 plus 2 over 8, and we've also got the the common, and then this abstract one here, which looks like an awful lot of fun, and I look forward to interpreting that one day. But you know, it's just another example of how amazing Neoscore is, and flexible and open and creative for whatever ideas you have. Let's go and have a look at the example that's given on the GitHub repository. We're going to need all of this, so we'll just copy it all, and you could copy it there as well, copied, and we'll go back into our PyCharm. We'll select all, delete, and then we'll stick that in. We do not need helpers, and we need to replace this with neoscore.show, or you can use render if you wish to export it as a PDF or an image. Okay, so what's happening here? Well, we're loading in Neoscore, as we always have to, as core. We've also included this typing, which will give us a list function, which is different to the normal Python list function. We need Neoscore, it's not going to work. We have some units. We've got our meters and a staff and a time signature. We then go into, we have to set up Neoscore to get it all working. And then we've got my staff here. I'm going to change that. And the staff is going to be, well, look, we've got a tuple coordinate here. We've got an X and a Y. X, 10 millimeters in from the left, 0, it's not moving down from the top. Y coordinates always move from the top to the bottom. No parent, it'll just go straight onto the document, and it's 150 millimeters wide. Then we've got this list. Meters is a list of these meter, or these time signatures, basically. And it's going to go through this list here and also enumerate it as well. So, you know, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, actually 0 to 6 in Python language. But it will go through each one of these in turn and then also assign it a number order and do something with those. For instance, time signature. It is going to create a time signature at these x points. So this is I, as in I, the amount of iterations it's gone through in this list. So I2 would be 2 times 15, which would be the this one here, 0, 1, 2. And then it's going to put it on the staff. It's going to put it on my staff, actually. Oh, I'm going to put it on my staff. And then it's going to, instead of declaring it, it's going to actually just strip whatever the meter is from here. And then it's going to show it here. So let's have a look at that in action. There you go. As you'd expect, it starts 10 millimeters in. We then got common, cut common, 3, 4, all the way across to there. So let's have a look at the API. Okay, as you'd expect, so this is what you need to, what the properties are needed in the creation. This is the initiation or the instantiation of the class. We need to give it a position X, which is a unit. We need to tell it which staff to go to, and we need to give it a meter. And we have various options of how we do that, either as the text, the common, or as a list, or as the you know, kind of the tuples that we saw earlier. Then we have these properties. We have upper text and lower text, which is the glyphs. That's what we saw when we were changing the pen. So the time signature dot upper text opens out all of the pen and the additional functionalities from that. We also have visual width and we also have meter. So why don't we put a few of those together into this existing script in PyCharm and see what we can do. So I'm going to call this my time sig, and that equals that, just so we've got a name. And then for each time signature, I'm going to print out into the console here the visual width and the meter. So print, oops, my time sig, and we want that function, we want the visual width function. So that's going to report back to us what the visual width of each of these time signatures, comma, and we can put a little divider in there. And then my time sig dot, what was the other one? Meter. Okay, I'm going to disable this so it doesn't render it. It's just going to, we're just interested in the console down here. So for each of these, we have a unit. And now we asked for visual width. So each of these time signatures, the first one is 8.375 units wide. And a unit is going to be either millimeters, or let's have a look. This is a meter. Visual width of the time signature. This is useful for laying out staff objects near time signatures. So I'm proposing that that is in millimeters. It might be in staff units. We could find that out. And then the next one is what is the meter. And the meter is a combination of two glyphs. It is this glyph followed by that glyph. And one of them is upper text and the other one is lower text. So as they are objects themselves, we can also dig a little bit deeper with that. Okay, that's that.